Interviewee is a 20-year-old African American man in the foster care system. He currently lives in a studio apartment that is subsidized through a program for foster youth. The studio apartment is the first place he has felt truly safe and at home. He is concerned about what happens when he is no longer eligible for the program, which begins phasing out subsidies at 21 and ends when he turns 25.
When I turned 17, my social worker approached me and started talking to me about the transitional housing program. I still remember my social worker at the time telling me that, not only is the wait going to be tremendously long, but there's no guarantee that I can even get in. The program is, because it is a nice program that houses a lot of youth, it's, something that everyone's trying to get into. So there's a lot of waiting. I think waiting is the biggest factor. It's time. I had to wait a little over a year and a half to even get some sort of housing, and it's not the housing I'm in now. And so my housing situation now is through a couple years, about 2 or 3 years of working with the transitional housing program, which is THP. I now am able to have my own studio apartment. I think the studio is the first place that's ever really felt like home to me. I'm just a very paranoid person. I try to plan for every scenario possible, and living with other people that you've never met before in a shared apartment, you don't really know people, especially going up in group homes. A lot of people there aren't your friend. A lot of people make it clear they're not your friend. It's very, very much kind of every man for themselves. And so I would say I very much carried that mentality into having a shared apartment with other people. It's still, I still had the mentality of kind of every man for himself, and kind of just survival instincts. I'd say the studio apartment's the first place I feel like I don't have to worry too much. I'm not very paranoid. I have these meetings with foster youth, and every time I go over housing with them, I feel like I always hear how they want their own apartment. So I think it's important for especially people working with foster youth to know that is very important to most foster youth to have their own place, because most of the time, most people in the system haven't had their own place. They've never felt a place where they can feel like it's their own. They earned it, and they're comfortable and safe in that environment. So I would say it's most likely their top priority to get that own space, because once you have that space, all the other problems seem minuscule compared to it. It seems like then you can really deal with other problems. Dealing with life's problems when you don't even have a place that you're comfortable and safe in can be extremely overwhelming and extremely painful to deal with. So I think having that is the first step. Having that place that you have to yourself that you can call home, it should always be the first step.